There's always some sort of progression or riff or melody or something that you always return to when you sit down with your instrument. And it can be really, really difficult to break yourself out of those repetitive patterns and write something new. Guys, Shekinah Tebby here, aka Shay, and you are watching episode 7 of the Creative Quiz, where we talk about all things creativity, the creative process, specifically revolving around music and building a music career. And in today's episode, I'm going to share with you guys 3 strategies that I have found are helpful when writing memorable guitar riffs. So one of the challenges if you've played music for a really, really long time is that you'll sit down with your instrument and you'll just start to jam, and you'll find yourself jamming on the same things that you've jammed on for maybe the past 5 years. There's always some sort of progression or riff or melody or something that you always return to when you sit down with your instrument. And it can be really, really difficult to break yourself out of those repetitive patterns and write something new. So I've found that it's best to find a starting point. I'm a fan of starting with a prompt. Being a songwriter, it makes sense. We give ourselves parameters or frameworks to start from, so it pushes us out of our normal routine and pushes our mind into a space where it can be more creative when it has different material to work with. It works the same way with guitar riffs. So this leads us to strategy number 1. Beatboxing. Wait a minute, Shekinah. I'm a guitar player. I'm not a rapper. What do you mean by beatboxing? Well, in the car, when you're driving, or when you're just walking down the street, or doing something else mindless, maybe you're in the shower, you can just start to make rhythms with your mouth. You might be surprised how that might spark an idea for a guitar riff that's really, really catchy rhythmically. I've done this a lot, where I'll be driving in the car, and maybe I'm listening to music or something, and there's a drum pattern that I hear on a song, and I stop the song because the drum pattern inspired some other rhythmic idea, and I'll stop it, and then I'll just start to beatbox, and then all of a sudden I've got something really cool, and then I turn on the voice recorder on my phone and I record the idea. I can't tell you how many times I've done that, and I've come out with some really cool stuff. So I actually went into my phone this morning and I found a voice memo recording of me beatboxing in the car, a rhythm that I actually hadn't written a riff off of yet, and I thought this will be perfect for the video. Well, I was actually listening to Nirvana's Nevermind album, and there was a drum part at the end of one of the songs that sparked an idea, and so I turned the song off and I started to beatbox along to that rhythm and let it evolve, and then found something cool and recorded it. And so this is actually what I recorded. So I'm gonna try to beatbox at the best I can. So I'm being super vulnerable with you guys and showing my really stupid beatbox recordings on my cell phone, but how many of y'all have these in your phone? I'm sure there are a lot of my artistic friends out there that have tons and tons of stuff like this in their voice memo recordings. All that to say, this is what it turned into. So then you go ahead and take that riff and you record it in your DAW or record it on your phone or whatever so that you don't forget it. And then you can start building on top of that and use that as an intro, or use that as a verse, or use that as a hook for whatever song that you're writing. Strategy number 2, starting from a chord progression and building the riff from the chord progression. This is a really, really great strategy to make your riffs more melodic. And if you've ever listened to the band Periphery, this is what they do really, really, really well. In fact, there's a video by Holcomb about this very thing that I have watched a number of times on how to take a chord progression and build one riff from it and connect all the different chords together in this one riff. It's really, really, really good. I'll put a link to it in the show notes below. So I'm no Holcomb, but I came up with a basic kind of 3-chord progression to demonstrate. So for example, I have pretty basic, right? But the first chord is this chord here. And this is just fifths. I'm not adding any extensions or anything like that. That's kind of the point. That's something that you could definitely do, is mess around with the different extensions in that chord to find different chord tones that you can use to add to your riff to make it more interesting. So this is my first chord. I'm gonna start there, and this is kind of my anchor point. Now I've got to find out where all these other notes that are in these 2 other chords are in reference to that place and figure out how to add them to the riff. So for example, we've got this note here. There's your roots. You've also got your fifths. Right? You've got your octaves. But what if I want to use more than just fifths and octaves? So what about this note here? That's kind of cool. Well, that can go in this chord here, our second chord, and make it a sus2. That already sounds really cool. So what else can we add? Well, we have the fifth here and an octave here. That sounds really, really awesome. Now, what else can we add to this? Can we take this somewhere else? Well, we have other notes we haven't used. We use this note, which is an extension of this chord, but we haven't used the root of this yet, and we can find it somewhere else. So we can also find it here. What if we did something like... So then we've got these two really, really cool ideas and we can piece them together. Strategy number 3 is building a riff from a drum groove. So a lot of these recording softwares and different drum plugins come with stock rhythms that you can edit in MIDI to kind of make your own thing, or you can just put a stock rhythm in and jam over the top of that and build your riff from there. And so I actually decided to pick a stock rhythm that wasn't in the genre that I was trying to write in. If you're like a heavy guitar player, you're gonna go straight to the rock rhythms or straight to the metal rhythms. Be like, I'm writing a metal song, I'm writing a rock song, I'm writing whatever, and I want to pick a drum groove in that style. Well, I actually did the opposite. I took a funk groove and looped it and came up with this really, really cool riff that could go in some sort of like hardcore song, and this is what I came out with. So the funk groove that I started with is this. And it just repeats itself. All right. I started messing around over the top of that, and that groove inspired this riff. That's pretty sick, I think. It sounds so mean. So that hardcore riff was inspired by a funk groove that I found in a stock drum plugin. So this is something that I'm learning, that listening to opposite styles of music can actually inform and inspire the style that you like to write in and give you fresh and new creative ideas. So with that, y'all, those are my 3 strategies for writing more memorable guitar riffs. So my question to you guys is, what kind of tips, tricks, and strategies have you used to make your guitar riffs more memorable, your melodies more memorable, your chord progressions more memorable to use in your songs and make your songs interesting? Go ahead and share those with me in the comments below. I would love to collaborate and learn from you guys as well. So if you like this video, if you're liking the content that's on this channel so far, go ahead and hit subscribe, go ahead and hit that like button, and don't forget to ring the bell so you can be notified every time I come up with a new video. And we'll see you guys next time right here on The Creative Quest.